So let's discuss, right? Uh, can everyone go on mute if not talking? Okay. All right. So let's discuss, what we have covered so far. So till the item classes we covered all the our item classes, and then we have, completed our create items, right? Those items we have created. Those items we have created as a standard item, as a purchasing item, and we have also covered the item templates and all. Correct. Now let's begin, right? So we'll create, a couple of more items. So do you have idea, the serial control item or the lot control items?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, serial control or the lot control, right? So it's depend on the business to business nature, right? So let's take an example. If you, talk about the telecom company, right, where they have, the devices, right? All those devices will be serialized, right? They have, IMI number or serial numbers, right? If you looked at maybe, the if we talk about, the laptop manufacturer, right? Computer manufacturer company, they also have their dedicated serial numbers. And if we talk about, the pharma industry or, where, they do, the bulk packaging, right? Where they have, the lot as well as the serial both, or maybe the lot, right? Since they are, producing into the bulk, and they keep tracking into the batch, right? So if you heard that, right, uh, sometime, the car manufacturer recalls their vehicles, right? So how they are identifying, their vehicles, right, based on the batch. So batch is generally, when they, manufacture that product, what all. So those will be, mentioned to the vehicle, so that they can immediately identify that this product is manufactured so and so, the month, and this is what the batch number. And they can recall from the market if they find out, it's defective. So it's required, to have, or to avoid all such challenges, to keep track. Because if you don't have the serial number or the lot number presence in a system, right, or maybe over your product, then, you cannot validate it, right? Whether you have issued towards your customer, and customer is returning back, because sometime it happen, right? When you issue the goods, right, sometimes customer is returning back that particular goods due to defective, or maybe during the transportation accident happen, right, or anything happen, product got damaged, customer cannot accept, right? It will return back to the warehouse, and once it reaches to the warehouse, right, it's required, to revalidate whether that product is manufactured from our warehouse, or it is our product or not, right? So all certain, the situations to, the counter, right? Oracle has provision the serial control and the lot control. Okay. So let's move. Okay. All right. To create same way, we have to go to the product
Hello.
information. Yes.
Sorry to disturb you, sorry, sir. Actually, I want to know that are we going to do or create some CTO item as well?
CTO items is, the product life cycle. So we will not create. This is, comes in the advanced, actually label. That is a part of, the product, entire product management family. Okay.
Mm.
All right. Now coming to the create item. So once we click on the create item, okay, and then quickly we will do the configuration, and then couple of the transactions. So back and forth we will move uh, all the transactions. So all right, our item classes, right? So ABB item class, that is what we have it, right? So let's move. So our warehouse, what we have created, ABC, ABB IMO, right? So ABB IMO master of. Now we'll select our item class. So we have only two item classes, that what we have defined at that day. So now I have selected my item class. Now we'll go ahead So let me choose any purchasing. Yeah, let's take a purchasing item. Click on OK. All right. So now system is taking the serial since it's a serial number generation and increment by the one. That is what the rule we have set up. Now we'll say serial control item. Now item status is active. Life cycle phase is production. Okay. Long description if we have, then we can add. Okay. Now over here, if you looked at right, no items to display, right? If you have any requirement that the uh, item image to be shown, right? So you have to associate. If you click and you have to associate over here your file image for that particular product, so that it will be visible across the product. Means if you are referring to the self-service procurement, yes, so it's visible over there as well, and it will be visible into the PIM area as well. Okay. And file. So if you notice that, right, so we have the types. So we have the three types. So file, repository, file folder, or URL. So any URL we can tag, or maybe repository, file or folder, or files, right? And this is what the file name or the URL, right? So where you choose whatever the type you will choose, right? This is going to be changed. Either it will be giving you. So if you select the URL, then you have to type your URL. If you say repository, folder, and all, you have to upload that, right, from the UCM. Or maybe if you say that certain file, that particular image, right, then you can upload that image. Okay. Title if you would like to, then you can enter. Description if you want, right? Shared if you want it to be published, right, to other integrated system, then you can enable it. Okay. So let's go and try some serial control item image. Let's say, so I think we can say iPhone 16 Pro. Let's take an example. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So we'll save that image. Okay. Okay. So we have saved it. Now let's quickly move. Okay. So we'll say file, choose our file. We will go back and then download it image. So we have uploaded the image also, right? Description system will automatically prompt. So you can change it. iPhone 16 Pro. Okay. And then this is what the title, and further detail you can distinguish related to that product, maybe color combination, GB, all those stuffs. Okay. And then so we are not sharing it right as of now. Now what will be the attached date? Okay. And if you notice that, right, if you go to the actions, right, so sometime what happened, right, where you uploaded all the images but it won't be displayed to the, let's take example, to the self service or other, right, and this display, right? So you can have many the images loaded to the uh, item. But if, let's take example, any item image you would like to set as a primary, then you can go to the action and then set as a primary. So once you set as a primary, right, then this image will be display across the system. And once you say okay, now you will notice that the it's display. And if you notice that, right, it says iPhone 16 Pro. And now this is what, if you have any description, other detail stuffs, then you can get it visual over here. Okay. All right. Now coming to, so we'll say each.
Sir, can we do upload multiple images?
Yes, 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 you can do, but for that, right, you have to upload each product the images with having dedicated respective number. Either you can do, product number. So whatever the product number, and then product number. So for the image, you can follow product number dot jpg, so that it will be easy for you to do the mapping one to one relation. Because once you upload, then you don't know, which, the files to be chosen, right? So for
Uh,
upload, yeah.
Suppose I'm creating ABC 001 item. Okay,
Hmm.
but I want to upload multiple images for this item. So
Hmm.
we can do it or not?
Yes, yes. So basically, as I mentioned, right, if you go, you can do that.
Okay, got it, got it, got
Okay.
it.
You can do that. Only thing is that whatever the primary you enabled, right, from the action and set primary, that will be display over here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. Okay. Now, coming to the, so we have, the each. Now we'll move quickly to the specifications, and then we'll go to the inventory. So inventory, now over here we have, you know, the options, right? Whether the lot control, child lot control, or the serial control. So we are talking about the serial control. So if you notice that we have, these options available in the system, either product, be a no serial number control or predefined serial number. Predefined, what it means, we have, the flag at the inventory organization level, where if you enable, then only system recognize your predefined serial number. It will generate that. Now coming to the dynamic entry at inventory receipt, what it means, dynamic entry at inventory receipt. So basically, whenever you are performing the receipts at the time of whatever the vendor provide the serial number detail, you are keep entering those, because that is what the source of truth for, right? Because you are procuring it, you are not generating your own. Now, if you come to the next option, what we have the entry at sales order, transfer order, or work order issue. So let's take an example where sometime what happened, right, in a industry, right, where you have one serial number which you consume that particular product while manufacturing the goods, and after producing it, you want, your own serial numbers to be tagged to that final product. So in certain cases, you can use the entry at the sales order. So either could be that serial number will be generated at the sales order label, or the transfer order label, or the work order issue. If you don't have the work order, then you can go ahead with the sales order, the transfer order. Now, there's a one more option, entry at inventory pick. So let's take an example. Business suggests that, right, we would like to go ahead whenever we do the picking of that finished goods, right? Once we pick that FG item or the product, we would like to generate the serial number or enter the serial number. Then you can choose this option, entry at inventory pick. So now we are selecting dynamic entry at inventory receipts. Starting number, that starting number can be asked to the business. What will be the series? So we are saying this is what my number. And if any prefix has to be added, so we'll enter the ABB. Okay, so that we will identify this is belongs to our item. Okay, so this is what the key consideration at the generation level you have to make sure whenever this kind of requirement arises. Okay, all right. Now coming to the purchasing, at the purchasing label, right? What you have to make sure, right? List price. Okay, this list price can be asked to the business. Okay, why? So let's take an example. If you do the min-max planning, correct, and you would like to consider that system will, prompt the or generate the supply, right? Then or the requisitions, then this list price must be there. Otherwise, system won't able to recognize it. Okay, so list price, it does not mean that they have to enter the actual price also. If they would like to prefer, they can add. If they don't have it, they can enter 0.1 also. That is also fine. This list price won't impact anything. This will bring when the procurement requisition will be generated automatically. But there is a opportunity, you can amend that at the PO level. Okay. So I have entered that list price, but this has to be there. Okay. Otherwise, it won't, generate. It will create a problem when you create the supply request. Now, coming to the price tolerance percentage. So if you would like to set the percentage also, that you can set, as well as market price. So let's take example, list prices internally, but if you would like to set the market price also, that you can, set the market price also. Both these price will be visible at the self service. So let's take example, if you have the centralized procurement system, right, where you list all those catalogs, all those items, right, and the team will be there, right, and once team will be there, right, then they would like to just go ahead and procure something from the centralized, right, they can have, all the what will be the market price going on, they can do the comparison, which item to be procured, right, all those stuffs. Okay. Now you have, certain attributes there also, right? If you have the outside processing, you have the invoice matching, then you have the receiving, so you can set also over here. Otherwise, it will system will take from the receiving parameter also, or maybe from the procurement also. Okay. So we have done. So now we have uploaded the item. We have created the item. Now coming to the sales and order, right? So if we come to the sales and order, right, all the flags enable. Now we'll say material only, and then we'll enable these two flags. So these two flags internally transferable and then transfer order enable. These are mandatory for in order to perform for that particular item, the transfer order transaction means internally transfer. If you want, then these two flags has to be or must be enabled. Okay. All right. Now returnable is also very important, whether so that is also you have to ask whether that product is required returnable or non-returnable. So if non, then there is no need. If returnable, then you say yes, then only you will be able to return back that material to original inventory organization. Okay. Or maybe when you are getting back from your customer. So these flags are very important and key consideration when you do the item import or item discussion. So you have to openly ask, what product, categorize all those products, and then, ask these all questions. Okay. All right. So we have done that, and rest of the attribute already we covered, right? So let me save that record. Okay. So system says, right, this already exists, right? So we'll go back. Okay. Might be that number already be there. Okay. So we'll go back. Let me duplicate it. Okay. All right. So we'll go back. This is generally not going to happen because, uh, it's a the demo environment where the lots of the person performing the transaction, so might be possibilities that someone else also using the same series, right? So we'll change our series. Okay. So manage item class, but since you have the client environment, then only you will be the right person, right, key person to create or any amendment, right? Okay. So let me change it to the ABB. I will put one B more. Okay. Okay, we have to refresh this. Okay. So we'll do quick So let me create that particular item. Okay, then unit of measure item we have set. Let me choose that file. Okay. Now coming to the specification, so we'll quickly complete. So we have entered market price also we can enter, so that whenever we move to the self-service, you will notice that, and then returnable flag is also yes. So if you notice that now it's changed to the ABB. So we hope that no one is using this series. Yes. So no one else using the series. So we have changed that. So if you also face, you can do change since it's the demo environment. So no problem. But actual you will be the key person. So don't do that. Okay. Otherwise it will impact your transaction or someone else they hard coded anything. Then again it is going to be a problem for you. So now I am assigning my item. So my item got assigned to the inventory organization. I will say save and close. So we have created our item. Okay. Now what next, right? So we have created serial control item, serial control item. So ABB 10 and it was 2. Okay. All right. Back will create the lot control item. So let me quickly create
Sir,
that also. Yes, yes.
sir, you are creating items one by one. Right, sir,
Uh,
suppose business has a requirement to create thousands of items in one go. So,
then
do you have an option to create?
yes, yes, yes. We have the FBDI, we have the REST API. Okay. So which you can utilize in order to create thousands of items in a one go. So that FBDI we will cover. No worry. I'll
Okay, sir.
also okay. Now this is what the item class. Okay, we have selected. Now coming to the purchase item. So I've selected the purchase item. Now come to this. So this is our lot control. Okay. So active production unit of measure specification will come to the inventory. Once we reaches to the inventory, all right. So now the key consideration, it might be possible that in a business they have the requirement that they would like to generate the batch, and that batch also will have the child lot also. Okay. So you then only you have to choose this option. Otherwise, you don't need to do that. If they have only just the batch numbering, then you can go ahead and enable this lot number. Now, lot number to enable, you have only two options: full lot control or the no lot control. Means if business say that we would like to keep track the batch, then you can go ahead and enable as a full lot control. Once you select the full lot control, there are the lot of stuffs, the fields will be enabled by default. So we'll cover all. So starting prefix. So we'll say ABB serial number. So we are entering the serial number. Maturity is days and hold days. Okay. So let's take an example. Any point of time you have certain chemicals, right? One of the example, good example, I would say. Chemical will have, their expiry, right? Or maybe, I would say Let's take an example. Someone, put it the FDs, right, to the bank, and that bank, deposit for certain days, right? So there will be, maturity days. Same way, there is a maturity days, hold days, right? Till how many days that product has to be hold, right? That batch has to be hold, or what will be the maturity date for that lot, right? For the subscription point of view, right? Now the lot expiration, right? Lot expiration will come into the effective when you have the food items, chemical items, right? Hazardous items, right? So in all certain cases, until unless you have all those expiry, it might be chances that accidentally someone can use the expiry product. So to have better control over the visibility, system will have the provision to set the lot expiration. Now we'll set the lot expiration. So we have two options: item shelf life or user defined expiration date. What it means, if you set the item shelf life, then system will set automatically the expiration days for that particular product. So let's take an example. Your business, your suppliers said that if you procure this particular, the chemical, that chemical will have, right, the expiration date by default 365 days. So whenever it entered to your premise or whenever you received it into your warehouse, from that onwards, it will automatically calculate and put it the expiration date. So you don't need to enter manually. Means system will do the calculation on the behalf of, the user, okay, or for that item. If you say user defined expiration date, what it means every time you have to keep enter. Okay, so I'm keeping, you can create for your testing purpose all the items, and you can look at. If you have any question, we will cover. Now once I selected the item shelf life days, right, shelf life days coming as a zero, so zero cannot be. So if we say 90 days, so you have to enter, in a days. So 90 days, 365 days. So when I enter the 90 days and whenever I am going to receive that particular item, then system will automatically from the today plus 90 days, system will automatically prompt for me the and calculate the expiration date. Then retest interval. So let's take an example, certain product. If you are producing your own, you have the chemical company, you are producing that chemical, and once that shelf life days already passed, or maybe, before past that, right, if you would like to, retest that product whether it still can be used or not used, right, you can set the retest interval. Okay, maybe the 85 days. So whenever, the 85 days arise, automatically you are going to perform all the tests, and you can extend that expiry as well further. So all those provision available in the system. Okay, now expiration action. Okay, so what is the expiration action? So basically, if you say that expiration action, so what is going to be happen with that lot or the batch, right, and what will be the expiration action interval, right? So when it is going to be, what is going to be, and how many times it has to be triggered. So all those transaction will be, put on hold or cannot be used that particular batch. So all these actions given in the system. Okay, all right. So we have set our item, and we have set also the 90 days. Now we'll come to the purchasing. We'll say 0.1, okay, USD. Now we'll come to the sales and order management. Again, we will enable. Okay, and after that, we'll save that record. Once we save that record, we'll go to the association, and within the association, we'll assign that particular item. So I have assigned that item. Now I will say save and close. Okay, so lot control item also we have. So ABB 1003. So these items we have created. All right. So we have created the items, we have created inventory organization, master organization, right? What else, right? How my business will run. So you have this question into your mind, right? So what we need storing locations, right? Storage areas where, let's take example, if I am procuring certain goods, right? Where I should kept all those material. So I need storage location defined in the system as well, physically as well as the same into the system. So we have not touched the sub inventory. So what we have to do, we have to create the sub inventory. So you have to go to the setup and maintenance, and within the setup and maintenance, if you go to the search and type manage percent sub percent, so manage sub inventories and locators. That is what the task. Let me type that, manage sub inventories and locators. Okay. So this is what the task that you have to, once you done, right? And if you click on the manage inventory and locators, you have to select your inventory. Or so what we have defined, ABBINV view. Okay. So now we are inside the ABBIN view, and we can see, right, over here we don't have any sovereignty defined. So we'll define that one by one. Now, in order to run our business, right, what we need, the raw material generally to capture the raw material distinguish, right? We need finished goods store. We need, if we have, any logical receipts for the drop ship, then we can create that also. Uh, so raw material, then we have, the finished goods. We do have also required, the staging. Staging is intermediate supplementary, in order to use for the shipping purpose, right? So rather than shipping from your own finished goods, you can choose the staging supplementary, right? So that the whenever you perform the picking, it will automatically transfer the product from your finished goods to the staging area, and from there you ship out that material. Generally that is also happen, right? You are not shipping actually in your warehouse from your finished goods product will reaches to the packaging area, that is called your staging area, physically, where you do all the packing, wrapping, and keep ready that product, and then you are loading it, right? So same way we do have the staging. Okay, so we'll define in the system. So first, raw material. Okay, so we can say, so it will have the 10 character of the limit. So more than 10 character system won't take it. So whenever you will discuss with the business side, you have to keep this, remember, and ask that if they give you more than 10 character the 70 code, you don't accept that, you ask that we cannot, so you minimize all those character. So we'll say raw 01, and description you can enter raw material. Okay. All right. Since this is active one, so I'm not going to put the end date. Asset supplementary, once you enable this flag, then only that inventory valuation come and play. Okay, if you disable this flag, then that supplementary will become as an expense supplementary. Okay, now coming to the material status. Material status is active, means you can perform the transaction, you can receive it, you can issue it out, you can pick, you can shipping. So all the transaction, if status material is active, means you can perform all the transactions. Okay, this material status can be customized if there is a business requirement. Okay, but generally when you do the implementation, it's not needed for certain business, but if there is any specific need, then only you have to customize it. Sovereignty type, so storage or the receiving, means what kind of, so only you are receiving it, or you are storing also. So always your sovereignty will be storage. Okay, if you are keeping stock into that area. Now coming to the locator, control. So locator control, if you looked at, right, since we have enabled the dynamic entry at the 70, determined at the 70 level. So system will give us the control to, dynamic entry item label or previously defined. So we'll say the dynamic entry, then system will, give us the provision to enter. Or if you say the previously defined, then whatever the defined in the system, that particular, system will prompt automatically. Okay. So we'll create, 270 and will showcase, previously defined and, the dynamic entry. Now location is your, the inventory's location or sovereignty location can be in a business, then you can select that location, otherwise no need, it's optional. Now coming to the locator structure. So generally by default, Oracle has already, defined the 4 segment locator structure instance. Okay. So Oracle has already given the locator structure, but if in your business you have the requirement the locator to be customized, then you can go ahead. We will see that. Okay. So for now, I'm selecting the locator structure as a 4 segment. That is what the standard one, the seeded one. Now default locator status. So same, you have the material status, same you have the locator. So let's take example. If you put it certain stock into the row, rack or bin, and you want that for certain transactions, right, it has to be put on hold, then only you can go ahead and create all these controls, and you can put it so that whenever that particular stock will come into that locator, either it cannot perform the receiving, it cannot be issue, or it cannot be picked. So any kind of transaction you can restrict. So we'll cover that also. Okay. So don't worry about that, right? But this is all the custom requirement. When it comes, then only you have to do. Now lead time in a days or the sourcing, right? So if you have the min-max, so min-max can be done at the organization level or the sovereignty level. So if you have the sourcing, then you can go ahead and do this. Okay. Define your sourcing. Lead time and all will play when you have the planning in place. Okay. Now we have defined the sovereignty. Now coming to the next. So what next? So FG01. Okay. So finish goods storage. Okay. We'll enable dynamic entry. Okay. And active. Now we'll say save and close. So we have defined. Now we'll come, and for the staging, so we'll say stage 01. Okay. So okay, or we can say material shipment area. Okay. All right. Now I don't want it to be locator control, so you can have the none for this case. Why I'm explaining all the cases, right? So you can correlate, right, what is the predefined, determined, and so if you notice locator control. Now for the raw material, since we have enabled the previously defined, so what we have to do, we have to go to the manage locator and we have to define that locator. Otherwise system won't allow you to do any kind of receiving. So we'll say click on plus. Now it will prompt automatically row rack bin. Okay. If you would like to set the alias, right, for that, right, then you can put, otherwise you can go ahead. So let's take example. We'll say this is electrical, and then the raw. So we'll say A01, A02, A03, and then the type. So type also, if you would like to, then you can set this, otherwise no issue with that, right? So staging, storage location. So we'll say the type as a storage location. So all this, the factor will come when you have the certain reporting and all. Otherwise, there is a no need. Okay. So save and close. So we have defined the previously. So this is what the previously defined. Okay. All right, so we have defined the location. For this, we have set at the dynamic entry. For staging, we have defined as a none. So we have done storage location as well. What next? Right. Since we have done the storage location, then we need, the goods inside the system. Correct. And before, doing the goods inside the system, right, we have to set certain parameter. Correct. So what is all those parameter? Receiving parameter. So we will set the receiving parameter. And in order to, since we have the inventory of, then we have to have the shipping also, right? Because we are not always, keeping a stock, right? We have to sell out that as well, right? So to sell out, what we need, we have to have setup of certain parameter that is called as a shipping parameter. So we'll complete those configurations as well. Okay. All right. Let's move. Now, receiving. So if you search with the manage percent, receive percent para, then the task will come manage receiving parameters. Okay. Manage receiving parameter. Okay. So location, the subinventories, what we have defined, raw 01. We have defined FZ01 and stage 01. Correct. And for this, we have defined, so let me insert so that, so previously defined control. Okay. FG is our dynamic and stage is none. So that is what the control. To the receiving parameter. So once we click on the receiving parameter, so this is what my inventory organization. Now there are certain parameters so that you have to ask to your business. Okay. So shipping, ship to exception actions, right? So any exception is happening for the shipping, right? Either to reject or the warning. Okay. So you will say the warning. So system will prompt at least the message. If user take the action, then it system will allow to proceed further. If user ignore that message also, then still system will allow to do that. Certain business want that if there are any shipping exception happen, right, at any point of time it has to go into the reject, then you have to set the reject. Okay. If business say no, we don't want it to be set up because you have to validate it. Sometime what happen, right, business will ask you, to check the legacy system, what is configured today, same has to be migrated to the production environment or the development environment. So you have to carry forward. So if it's none, then you can set the none. So system won't reject or give the warning. It will proceed. It will ignore completely. Okay. Same way, if you looked at the ASN control action. So ASN is also, reject or the warning or the none. Okay. Now early receipt tolerance in days, right? So let's take example, you have defined, days, right? And you would like to, do the early receiving, right? So how many days you can allow, right? So if you put it the 0, then system won't allow to early or late receipt. Let's take example, it has to be receipt performed today, right? But unfortunately, any circumstances, right, happen, right? Unforeseen situation, business user not able to receive it today, it is going to be received into next 5 days or maybe the tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Then you can set all those days, system will allow that user to receive that goods. Okay. So these are the business specific criteria you can ask. Then receive days exceed actions. Okay, so let's take an example, certain goods will have, so let's take an example of the steels. Okay, or bulk production, right? So you have always into decimal values or maybe it exceeds sometime if you are procuring also, right? Sometime, any product will have, the decimal values or maybe sometime it increases into the weight, right? Then what is going to be happen? Whether to none means no action, reject or the warning. So if system or if business says, right, or suggests that it is going to be reject, then you can set the reject, warning, none, then none, set none. Okay. Now over receipt tolerance also. Okay. Now over receipt tolerance is also something, right? When you are increasing. So let's take example, you procure in a weight of 100 kg, 101 kg, but your purchase order quantity was the 100. Since it's into the weight, there might be chances when they do the gross weight and all everything, right, air weight, then it comes as a 101. So you have to receive it, right, because you have received 101, right? So over receipt tolerance, so how much percentage, or the tolerance, right, system will act, right, those you have to set up over there. Then over receipt action, right? So what is will be the over receipt? Whether system will prompt the warning, means if user trying to enter the 101, then system just prompt a warning message, and business user can proceed. So that what will does this warning message with the business user, it will prompt and give the direction to the user whether to revalidate, right, whatever the weight they have received for that particular product, right? So they can go to the weight bridge, right, and they can re-evaluate whether really they received the over or not. Okay. So I'm setting none. Now receipt routing. So receipt routing you can define from the inventory org. You can define for particular item. You can define at the supplier level as well, right? So receipt routing, receipt routing. So you have the three options, right? You might be aware, right? So you are aware, right? Direct inspection and the standard receipt, right? Two-way, three-way, four-way.
Yes,
Correct?
sir.
Yeah. So direct means system will, automatically, give us immediately the storage location to be enter. And if we selected the inspection, then inspection has to be triggered and standard receipt. First you receive it, and then, you deliver that goods, right? So I have set up at the organization level as a direct. You can change it at the purchase order level. You can change it from the supplier level. You can change at the item level. So there are a lot of flexibilities. Okay. Now I have said that is direct delivery, right? Then you have, use quality inspection. So if you have quality, right, in order to, use for your receiving, then you enable this. Okay. And, once you enable, then you have to set, and then it will be available for the business user. If you have the allow substitute, right, so any substitute receipts if you need and you want it to perform, then you have to go ahead. And these all are the specific in respect of the custom requirement. So like allow unordered receipt. So let's take example, if you have not ordered but still you would like to proceed with the unordered, then you can go ahead and you can use enforce blind receiving, right? So you can perform blindly, right? Then you can go ahead, because it depends on the business. So why I'm talking and keep saying the business, because these attributes are specifically has to be discussed with your business. Okay. Now print receipt traveler. So you have to enable this option. Once you enable, then what is going to happen whenever you perform the receiving, right? System will trigger this program in the backend where you can look at all your product genealogy, right? Or I would say the transaction history, right? What product, what purchase order, who has performed the receiving and everything, right? So this is your receipt traveler. Okay. Now include closed purchase orders for receipts, right? Whether business want closed order also to be considered for the receipts or not, right? So carefully enable this flag. Okay. Allow routing override. So if you enable this flag, then only you can override the routing. Otherwise, system won't allow you to override the routing. Okay. Process or line together. Yes. So let's take example. If my purchase order having the 5 lines, yes, or lines together. So whenever I'm performing, so whatever the lines at that time, it has to together process. Print shipping document for return to supplier. So you have to enable all these print options. So return to supplier, then print shipping document for return material authorization, right? RMA. And if you have, the shipping document for drop ship, then you have to enable this. Okay. Publish transactional business event. So if any case, if you are using any custom requirement to achieve business events, then you enable this so that whenever your purchaser is open, you perform the receiving, then certain events will be triggered in the back end, and that basis, right, you can achieve your custom requirement or the integration. Now allow defaulting of lots and serial number from ASN. So if you enable this, so if you have the the entire procurement suite, right, enable, right, where you have the supplier in place, onboarded, right, and using the supplier portal where supplier can initiate the ASN and you are receiving it. So supplier will enter on the behalf of you all the lot and serial, what lot and serial number they are sending towards your warehouse or dispatches from their warehouse towards your warehouse. Whenever you perform the ASN, system will take automatically default those lot or serial so that there won't be any accidental chances to enter the wrong entries. Okay. Now allow default lot and serial number from transfer order. So that is also, if let's take example, any lot number you picked up from your one warehouse, and if it's delivering into the B warehouse, you want the same lot number to be transferred, because it has to be the always be source of truth, right? So whatever the lot number available, since I'm transferring the same goods towards the B warehouse, so it is going to be same. So you can enable this option. Auto create deliveries for expense destination receipts, right? So this is the new feature introduced recently, right, where if you would like to perform the auto deliveries for all those expense receipts, you can enable it, otherwise leave it. Okay, these all are the optional, but whatever I am enabling, these are the mandatory important, because let's take example ASN, if you are not enabling it, right, let's take example in future business would like to they can also do in future, but this is the one time setup. Generally what happen, business will also not memorize, right, okay, really we have to do this, and they start using the RMA, then again there won't be any document getting generated, then again they will be into trouble, right? Then auto create deliveries for the power locations receipts, right? So if you have the power locations defined in the system, right, then only you have to use. So we have not defined. Generally this is also kind of the business requirement, where business will say, then only you have to use it. Now coming to the receipt number. Okay, receipt number, if you say, right, we have two options, automatic or manual. If you say automatic, then automatic will have always be numeric. So if business say, can we have the alphanumeric, we cannot have the alphanumeric series, okay, by entering their prefix or something, right? We can have always be numeric. If we say manual, then we have the alphanumeric option. So means every time they have to enter. And we have, with the manual, we have two options. Either we'll go with the alphanumeric or the numeric. Okay. So I will say automatically, I'll go with the numbering. So my receipt will start from the 1000. Now RMA receipt routing. So I will say it's direct delivery. RMA validate lots. So yes, it will validate, so that let's take example, if you shipped ABC serial number or the lot number, right, from your warehouse, and whenever you are getting back that particular product, if it's ABC01, then system will allow and validate, okay, it's really tagged to that particular product. System will allow to do that. If user trying to enter rather than ABC or ABC02, then system won't allow to do that. Now validate serial number. So validate serial number means whatever the serial number you issue and you are taking back. Okay, so generally these features is given, right, but there are glitch, right? So still it's not validating, but this option is already provisioned, that is under the enhancement. So it will come near future, it will validate all these serial numbers. Okay, so even though if you try, it is not going to, but make sure that you enable these options. Okay, now what next? So we'll have to perform shipping parameter. So manage shipping parameters. Okay. Manage shipping parameters. So once you're done, right? If you notice, right, certain values will get automatically defaulted. Okay. So shipment creation. So these all are the attribute, right? What you have to do, you have to check your legacy system. Same you have to follow towards your new system. Okay. That is what generally we advises. Now packing unit capacity method, either it could be weight, none quantity, volume or weight, right? So if your business will have, the weight, then the weight has to be entered manually or mandatory before you do the ship confirm. Okay, if you say quantity, then what will happen, system will just validate the quantity and system won't give you the warning exceptions. Okay, so make sure this option, let's take example, anyway you have to enter the weight class or the volume class. System will give you the weight and and if you forget to enter and you are trying to ship confirm, if you selected this option as a quantity, then system won't give you the warning message and all. But if you selected other than this quantity, then until unless you enter some value, system will give you, the warning messages. Okay. Ship confirm rule, you can tag. So we have not created that, we will also cover, because to fulfill there are certain, the steps we have to perform. Okay. So wait class. So let's say if we have, let's see, so we have weight and then volume. So we have the volume. Okay. Currency USD. Okay. Now what you have to do, right? Allow future ship date, right? So let's take example, future ship date, right? Yes, it's possible, right? Then the deferred sending inventory update and integrated the application. So you don't enable this flag, right? If you deferred it, right, then you have to enter the program, because this is generally required for the integration prospects. Okay, so this is the custom. So based on what the decision will happen, then accordingly you can go ahead and enable it. Publish transactional event, that you can enable. So if any point of time, any future, right, it's required to be used or utilized, then all system will trigger based on the transaction criteria. Now coming to what next to be remember, right? Required on packing slip. So if you enable this option, then all this packing slip status, shipment description, transportation region, all this become mandatory. Until unless you enter all this information, system won't allow you to perform the or generate the packing slip. Okay, or perform the shipping transaction. So make sure if required, then only enable, otherwise leave it. Enable quick ship means if you have automate your shipment fulfillment, right, then you can enable it, right, and then accordingly you set your quick ship Subinventory and then locator set up. Okay, same way we have the over shipment or the under shipments, right, for the transfer order. So let's take example, as I mentioned, 100 kg, but when you done the weight, right, it become as a 101 kg, right? So still you would like to receive, or maybe 100 kg the shipment, but actual when you done the weight, right, it become as a 99.80 kg. So still you have to receive it. So under and over shipments. Okay. Now coming to the release sequence. Okay. So release sequence, you can use the default ship. That is also, the release sequence will be available. If you have business specific, then only go ahead and create it. Otherwise use default one. Okay. All right. Now pick slip grouping rule. So you can say as a order number, right? You can define that pick slip grouping rule as well if there is a custom requirement. Okay. Now print pick slip at the end or immediately. Okay. So once you've done the pick confirmation, then at the end it has to be trigger or it has to be immediately, right? So it has to be at the end. If there is a requirement for any purpose, you can set there immediately, right? Number of lines, pick slip lines, right? So any lines specific has to be there, right? For picking, right? You can set over there the value, otherwise leave it. Okay. Print on each pick, right? So basically it is going to be on the printed document. So let's say, take an example, a business say, only 10 lines to be populated. Next, if it's more than 10, then it come to the next page. So you can set that, so system will automatically display accordingly. Staging sovereignty, so that's why we have created the sovereignty, the intermediate, that is our STG01. Correct? I think, yeah, that is what we have done. Now once we defined, now you won't see that staging locator because it's read only, right? Because we have set sovereignty determined as a none, locator as a none. Okay. All right. So we have done. Now these all are the optional attributes. So if optional shipment grouping attribute is required based on the business, then only you can enable and go ahead with that. Otherwise, no issue. All right. So we have done with the shipment part. These all the sequence, document sequence category will be automatically generated. So don't change whatever the system will default. Go ahead with that. If there is any requirement, then only go ahead and amend whatever is needed. Okay. Now we'll say save and close. So we have done the manage shipping parameters as well, right? But there are pigway rules, sequence rules. There are a lot of rules required in order to set up the complete fulfillment, the configuration of the logistic. Okay. So before that, let's begin and have some on hand available. Okay. And in order to fulfill, right, we need order management to be there, right? So we'll do the order management configuration also into upcoming sessions, right? But in order to perform right, we can start the inventory transactions. Okay. So let's begin with our inventory transactions since we have already done the access part, right? So we can go ahead and we can perform the shipping transaction. So let's perform, yeah. Supply chain execution, right? Within the supply chain execution, you have to go to the inventory management. So entire inventory related transaction will come into this. Okay, within the supply chain execution. So you won't be able to see any of the records. Okay. Now you have another question. Before perform the transaction, we have not done the costing part of it. Correct? But no problem, right? You can do, but you cannot cost it. Okay, you cannot shipping, right? Because you need, the periods to be open and all those certain things, right? So let's take an example. So we will configure, the costing side as well, right? As well as we will complete our order management. Then only we will go ahead and, start. But anyway, before having the costing also, we can look at, the entire transactions. Okay. So manage item quantity. So basically manage item quantity. Basically, if you have the on-hand quantity available, you can go ahead, you can validate like material workbench available in the EBIS. Okay. Create miscellaneous transaction. So if you click on the create miscellaneous transaction, right, the date will come and use current item cost. So if you notice, we have enabled at the inventory organization parameter level, to use system cost. That's why this coming as a by default yes. Otherwise, you have to choose and set as a yes. So if business asks by default, then you can enable the organization parameter. It will come like this. Okay. Now, sorry. Okay. Transaction type. So transaction type. So we have custom transaction type also you can create. That is also the business requirement. So there is a the custom transaction type is also available which you can use. So we'll say the miscellaneous receipt. Okay, miscellaneous receipt and now account. Okay, so account will search the combinations. So let's take an example. So you have to use the correct the account. This is a demo, so I'm choosing the combinations whatever exist, but you have to choose the correct combinations. Okay. Now use current item cost, this is my first entry. So I cannot go with the current cost because in system we don't have the cost. So I will enter my cost. So I will select the no. Now I will click on the plus. And once I click on the plus, right? So let me enter my item. So ABB 1001, or maybe we can type. Okay. So that is what the item we have created. Okay. Now system will ask, right? Okay. System will, ask to enter the subinventory, right? So subinventory we have already defined, right? So we have, the FG, raw material and staging. So I will select the raw material. Now system is prompting the locator to be entered. Okay. So I will go ahead and I will try to search what locator we have exist. So this is what the locator we have created. Correct. So this is the predefined locator. Okay. Now I will enter the 100 quantity. Okay. Once you enter the quantity, system will ask you to enter the cost detail. So we'll enter the cost detail. We'll say plus item price. And then I will say it's $10 each or $1 each. Okay. Let's take an example. Okay. So I've entered the cost. It is not going to be, costed because we have not done the setup. Okay. Just keep remember. Okay. But we are performing the transaction. Now we'll again go plus and select another item. So ABB and now try. So we have serial. So first we'll go ahead with the serial control item. Okay. Now that will also come to the raw material. We'll go ahead, search locator detail. That is also done. Now quantity. So I will say, the 100 quantity. Okay. Once I enter the 100 quantity, now you have to enter the cost. So we'll say item price, it's $2. Okay. Now, if you notice, right, when I selected the serial, right, you have, the added details, right, where you can, go and edit all those details, right, in the system. Okay. And you can validate also. Okay. Now click on OK. All right. And if you go to the action, you have, the add, duplicate, delete, right? Generate lot, generate serial number range, record lot and serial numbers, right? All this. And you can, duplicate basically. And if you come to the columns, right? In the column section, you have, the to serial number, from serial number, right? So let's take an example. If you are enabling, right? From and to, right? Okay. Now lot. Okay. All right. Now, if you notice, right, it's not coming as a, even though we have entered the quantity, but it's not coming, right? So what is, the chances, right? We have to check why it's not bringing the serial number information. Okay. So we'll go back. Okay. And let's validate our item. So what item we have created. Okay. So let's go ahead, product information. Since we are performing the transaction, so we have to validate and make sure at the inventory organization level, those serial control also be enabled. Okay, so let's search our item ABBB 001002. I think that was our item, right? Okay. So our item class. So our item class was ABB01, ABB. Okay. All right. So if you notice, right, there are two organizations, and this is coming, based on the image. Let's go ahead and we'll validate first, in the inventory organization level, what happened. We'll validate also our access. I hope that I have done. Yes. So now if you notice, right, so we have the access. That's why we are able to create the miscellaneous. But if you notice that master level we have done, but it's not inherited to the the child organization level, right? So these are the operational control attribute, right? What you want, right? That's why the template attribute template will play a major role, and it's advised that you define your item template and default whatever you want, and any point of time you want any attribute to be inherited from master to organization, you set at the template level and apply that template to the master, so that whenever that attribute defaulted at the master, it will flow down to the organization. So currently this is serial number is control at the organization level. That's why we are unable to, it's unable to default it from the master. So we'll again define, we'll say dynamic, and whatever we have done, I think 01 something, and we'll say ABB as a serial number. Okay, that is what we are doing. So this will play. So it won't generate serial number based on your master, whatever master you define. See, because the control for this attribute at the organization level, right? Child organization level. Okay, we'll say save. Okay, now we'll go back and I'll delete this, and I will try to again enter. So let me enter that item. Same way we have to follow for the lot. So you have to make sure that attribute, whatever you are changing at the master, that is defaulting to the organization also. ABB. All right. Serial control. 01. Otherwise, so sometime what happen if you immediately, done any changes, right? Sometime it won't be effective immediately. Now, yes, it's done. So you better either you delete that particular record and re-enter that, or maybe, close that particular wherever you are. You just close that window and re-perform the transaction. It will effective. So now if you notice that all these tabs open, generate serial number in range, record lots and serial number, added detail. And if you notice that at the line level also, it's enabled, right? So if you say generate serial number in range, right? Okay. So it's not generating that serial number, right? Now we have entered, right? So let me go ahead with the record serial number, and I will enter that serial number because it's alphanumeric. Okay, if you have the numeric number, then it will generate into the series. Okay, so let me do that. So from serial number, so what we have defined, ABB SN 100001, and if I enter, then system will take automatically till the 100. Okay, if you have additional information defined for the serial number, you can define it. So this is what we have entered. Now we'll click on the OK. All right. And if you notice that now serial number is also coming. Okay. Same way we'll go ahead and we'll check for the lot control item also. So what was our lot control? Yes. So let me enable that. Specification. We'll go to the inventory, and yes, for this it's enabled, right? It's defaulted and inheriting from the master. So we don't have challenge now. So let's again search our item. Okay. In this case, what we'll do, we'll remove this, you know, and save and close. Okay. Now we'll select our item. So ABB, okay, 003. Yes. Okay. All right. So now again, raw material, right? Or maybe if you want, it to be FG, you can enter at the FG, right? If you have, right? So you don't have any, the value coming, right? So I will enter FG dot A01 dot 02. Oh, sorry. 02. Okay. FG we have not done. Let me just change. We'll keep it into raw material. Okay. And let me select the locator, search. Yes. And now I will enter the quantity. So I have the 100. Now we have the generate lot. So I click on the generate lot. So if you notice that system has generated the lot. Okay. And I will enter the quantity and I will enter, the cost detail. So I will say it is $3 and I will set the prefix. So I will remove the zero. Otherwise, 0, we will face the challenges. For testing prospect, I have set, let me go to the inventory and prefix, we can say lot. Okay. All right. And what we'll do, we'll try to again generate, try to. So now if you notice, now it's taking from the prefix and then series. Now we'll enter 100 quantity. Okay. You can enter this lot detail. Either you can generate or you can go and record the lot and serial number from that screen also. You can go to the edit detail also. If you click on the edit detail, right, you have an opportunity to enter. You can generate over here also. So there are all three options available. Okay. So generally you can go to the view column and you can enable all these things and you can, now you have the reasons also field. So reasons also you can customize. So what we were doing, right? Let's take a example, stock adjustment. So you can put the reason also. So that reason will be also captured. Okay. So we have defined, we have received the raw materials. Okay. And now we'll perform the submit. Okay. So we have done the miscellaneous receipt transaction. Same way, if you would like to issue, you can issue as well. Okay. But sorry. So we have done, right? But before we do the issue transactions or other, right, we'll set up our costing, okay, in place. So that costing will be there so that we will perform entire time. We will look at that and we will perform all the account aliases and other configuration we will done. Okay. So for the day, what you have to do, you have to create all other items and based on the locator, different locators, serial number generation, all those type of transaction you have to perform so that you will have the good idea. Now coming to the, one more task, right? That what we are talking about, keep talking while long, right? So you have to, so where from these all attribute will be controlled. So manage percent, operational percent, attribute if you try to search. So manage operational attribute groups. So let me mention that also task. manage operational attributes group. Okay. So these all are consisting, right? So what is the attribute control group? Basically, you can control the behavior of the attribute, whether it has to be controlled at the master or at the organization level. So if you notice, right, asset class, costing flag. So costing flag master. So what is the difference? So master, if it's master, then if you set up this as a master level, automatically it will bring to the organization level. But changes also you have to do at the master level. You cannot go ahead and make the change at the organization level because it's control at the master level. If any attribute control at the organization level, right, what is going to happen? You have to control, you have to change the behavior at the organization, whether even though you are defining at the master level, it won't impact to the organization. That is what happened in our case, correct? If so this is what the filter query, right? So let me search. Okay. So if you notice, right, why we have to enable it again at the organization, because control at the organization level. That's why we have to go back and we will we went to the PIM module, and again we have enabled at the organization level attribute. If it was master level, then automatically it will be inherited from the master. Now to change, you can go ahead and you can set at the master. So this behavior will change from the master. It will follow the master, whatever at the master level. Okay, and you can save this. Now all this, right, all this attribute control you can discuss with your business and make sure, right, and you can advise that it will be controlled at the master. So it better when you do the FBDI import from the having the template in place, it will get automatically defaulted for all. Any specific attribute required to be populated specifically at the organization, you can keep it aside and you can re-upload those FBDI, okay, for the when you create your item to the organization level, your child organization, then automatically you can update that particular attribute. But better to have all the control at the master, so it will flow down to the organization automatically. You don't need to do, minimize your task also. Or data migration, during the data migration cutover, it saves you a lot of time. If you have 20,000 plus items, right, it will take time, right? You are first time uploading at the master, then second time uploading at the organization. Better you have single level control. So one time you applied, all attribute will be set, just you have to do the association, that's all. Okay, so this is what the manage operational attribute groups. Okay, and each attribute will have their significance, the importance, right? So you have to make sure, right, you thoroughly be aware, right, related to all the attributes before making such changes. Otherwise, it will impact your inventory transactions. Okay. So we have done with the manage operational attribute groups. We have done the miscellaneous receipt transaction. Okay. Now go back. So we'll cover the subinventory transfer as well. So in order to have the subinventory transfer, right, what you have to do, you have to go back to the task, create subinventory transfer. Okay. So if you click on the create subinventory transfer, you have to select the type. So this type, transaction type, you can also customize. So we'll say subinventory transfer. Subinventory transfer, it's a manual, right? It's not a movement request. Okay. It's subinventory transfer. Generally, you would like to, transfer the goods, right? If you have multiple between locator to locator, right? So we have defined single locator. So let me define another locator. Okay. So we'll go back to the subinventory setup and maintenance, search, manage,
Hello.
subinventory. Yes.
Sir, actually, I want to know that as you said that the sub-inventory type can be customized. So from where we are able to do the customization?
Sub-inventory customization you are talking about, or what? The location?
Yeah, the type you said, uh, like we would be able to create our own type of sub-inventory, like sub-inventory type transfer.
Okay, transaction type you are talking about, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
transaction.
transaction type. Yeah, I'll showcase. Okay, just be there. Okay, so let me create B01. Let me complete this and then we'll move. Okay, so that is also a storage location 7. So we have two locations, right? Defined. Okay, now we'll go back and we'll search our item. Okay, so our item is ABB. Okay, that is our electrical item. Now where to where I want it to be transferred. So let's take an example. Business team has requested that it has to be, we are shifting that from one locator to another locator, right? So still my inventory will remain same, but locator is getting changes. Okay, so locator. So first locator I have to select. So that is what, because we have the stock available into A, right? So on it 100 available. Now I am transferring within the same inventory but different location, right? That locators change. So I will choose another one. So I have selected. Now I will say quantity. So quantity is the 10. And then the reason, if you want that reason also you can customize. Okay. So let's take example. Update. I'm giving just as a, the generic one, but you can customize that also transaction reasons. Okay. Now this item won't be serial control, so I don't need to enter any serial control information. Okay, I will say submit. Okay, so we have done, the sovereignty transfer also. Now, whenever you perform all these inventory transfer, where you can see all those historical data, correct? You have this question in your mind. So you have a task called review completed transactions. Okay, within the review completed transaction, if you search, okay, you will look at all your transactional data, what you have done. So reason, since we have entered the reason, you can get the reason, and you have the export to Excel, you can export it to Excel, and you can do and review and validate. Okay, so manage. So that is what the task, where from you can search all your transactional data. There are also, the stuffs, right? So this is, the general search. Now, if you want, any field to be added, you can add, all those columns, new columns, from this add field. Search, reset, if you want anything to be reset, right? So let's take example, creation date. If you would like to add the creation date, you can enter the field as a creation date, and you can save that query search. Okay, to save that, this is a globally available across the module. So if you click on the save, system will prompt what name, right? So we'll say ABB query. Let's take example. Okay, now set as a default, so it will be default automatically. If you say run automatically, then if you are entering any parameter, system will run automatically for you. Okay, so let's take example. I'll say set as default and run automatically. Okay, so now if I go back and if I come back to review completed transaction, you will notice that it brings automated data for me. So I don't need to go to search and click on search, because system has saved this record as a key filtering criteria. Okay, for me. Okay, you can, and if you notice that saved search, so this is a saved query. Okay, if you want it to be personalized, you can personalize again, and you can go change the name, and you want it to be manually, then you can just remove this run automatically Click on OK. Now, if you again come back to the review completed transactions, then you won't see the data because system cannot run automatically. If you enable the run automatically, then only it is going to be happen. Okay, so this is what the difference between the run automatically or not to run the automatically. If let's say business is daily basis, business, what business is doing daily basis, they have certain parameter frozen, right? And based on that, they are keep searching their data daily. Then you can go ahead and you can advise this to set run automatically, set the parameter at any point of time. They can still go ahead in the saved search, they can personalize it. That option is also there. If I don't want it to be set defaulted, I can say apply and okay, I can delete also. So anything can be done. Okay. And once I click on search, then only it will become. Okay. All right. So this is related to the review completed transactions. Okay. Now coming back to the setup and maintenance. Now we'll go to the search. Okay. So if you looked at manage inventory transaction sources and types, okay. So if you click there, right, manage inventory transaction sources and types. So okay. So manage sources, manage inventory transaction sources and types. So within that, you can customize all those transaction type. Okay. These are the sources. So let's take an example within the account aliases. If you want any type to be customized, you can do that. In inventory, if you want anything for movement request, if you want, so any transaction type, if you want that, you can define. So let's take example. I'll went to the inventory, right? Within the inventory transaction type, okay. And if you come down, you have, all the right transfer order return, right? So let me customize within the inventory. Now over here, you have to click on plus. Now you have to customize. So let's take example transaction type ABB. We'll say ABB miscellaneous receipt. Okay. Now action you have to choose very carefully. Since we say as a receipt, then we have to select receipt into store, not issue from the stores. Okay. Enable status control means active inactive like that. Allow project transaction if you have the project. Location required, if you say location required, then you enable, otherwise leave it. Start date, if you want that, you can put the start date. Okay, so it start from today. Now you can save and create another. I will say ABB sub inventory transfer. Okay, same description. Now in this case, what action? So I will just perform the sub inventory transfer. So enable status control, select today's date, and save and close. So we have done two types of custom transaction types. So same way you can customize, you can choose that respective source and you can define, but this is also going to be based on the business requirement. Okay, it's not going to be a standard one. Okay, now what I will do, I'll go back and I'll show you. Okay, so if you go to the inventory management and let's go to the create sovereignty transfer, and if you click on the type, you will see ABB sovereignty transfer. So this custom transaction type will be easily, you can bring to the report for certain filtering criteria. so that you know that specific view or anything they can, what they can respective transaction that they can choose. So you can bring that data to your reporting purpose. So that is how you can customize it. Same way, if you go to the miscellaneous, right, transaction, you will notice that. So we have ABB miscellaneous receipt. Look at. Okay. So we have covered. So perform all these test cases, and we will continue our inventory. Few of the setups related to fulfillment we will also perform, and a couple of inventory transaction we will the perform, and then we will move to the next week from the costing enablement order management setup. So tomorrow we will be completing related all few configurations, and we'll bring start the configuration from the order management side also.
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry to disturb, like interrupt you in the bit again. Sir,
Mhm.
is there any FSD document available for the reference functional specification document?
Functional, I did not get it. What you are trying to?
Actually, sir, there will be like requirement for the integration to third party. So there will be some FFT documents they are creating. So I am asking for if you are having one, so that I could refer it, like how
So,
the third party.
yeah. So basically, so why I have not responded back to you, right, over your chat, right? Basically, all
Okay.
these are customer centric. Okay. These are
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
the general document. Okay. And what I would suggest, rather than, the having from idea prospect, if you want, I can remove and I can see, how I can share, right? But generally it won't be share, the customer information. You can follow what, your organization will have the standard documentation in place. If they have it, then you follow that document rather than, uh, having any customer document.
Okay.
But I will see, if I can remove and I can share. I'll see. Oh,
Yeah, sure,
okay.
sir. Sure. It will be helpful for me.
Yeah, no problem. I'll see, looked at, right, how we can, because that is something, critical you can
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, I know that. Yeah, of course.
So I'll see. Hmm?
Okay. Okay.
Hello,
All right, then. We'll see you tomorrow.
sir. Hello,
Yes. Haji.
sir.
Yes.
I have a query. Uh,
Hmm.
as you have mentioned that in the miscellaneous transaction,
Hmm.
uh, uh, actually, I want to know what is the difference between the price mentioned during the miscellaneous transaction and price during the item creation.
Yeah. So price. So basically, the item creation, whatever the price we have entered, that is just required for our planning prospect. Okay. When we generate automatically supply request, which will trigger and generate the, the purchase equations. Okay. Now, if we talk about the price where I entered, during the performing miscellaneous transaction. So since that was my first transaction, means in a business when you perform, inventory stock adjustment at the year end, maybe quarterly, correct? And if you want, any new item to be costed. So it won't get costed. How it is going to be costed? Either you purchased it, then only it will be
Yes,
costed.
yes, yes.
Correct. If you have not purchased at all, and that is your scrap or any raw material which you would like to, capture inside the system, then you have to go ahead with the cost as well. So in that case, you can enter the cost. Otherwise, when you have the, the data migration or cutover phase, right? Then already, from the legacy system, you are taking entire item on hand quantity and you perform the miscellaneous receipt with having the cost, so that when you run the costing program, it will take care, entire cost in place. Okay. Again and again, you don't need to enter, always the cost. That's why use as a current cost. So once
Okay.
you've done that costing activity, then business will always follow the yes cost. So whatever existing cost, system will use that cost in order to perform the transaction cost.
Okay, but when we create the item,
Hmm.
so we have to mention the price that time. So actually, price is related to PO. So
Hmm.
in order to what we have purchase item.
Hmm.
So at yeah, actually, items is vary to PO to PO. The same item maybe 1 month ago that the $2 are after 2 months it will
Hmm.
be $3.
Exactly, exactly. So there won't be, see, system won't create automatically purchase order. System will just create the purchase equation. So purchase equation, if you have in order to automate generate, either a business provide the actual cost, you can enter the actual cost and they have to maintain them. Otherwise, you can enter some dummy cost that will flow to the
Oh,
purchase
okay,
requisition
okay, okay,
generation,
okay.
and it will when they convert, from PR to PO, then still they have the opportunity to proceed with the actual cost. So because see how this solution or provision given, right? Let's take an example. I am as a business user, and you are as a my procurement manager. At what price you are procuring that goods, that is not my business, right? That is not actually referring for my transaction or impacting my transaction. I can just raise my request, but still you as a buyer, you are keep securing how you are negotiating, what negotiated price. You don't want it to be shown to your team member, right? Or down the line, right? That is between you
Yes.
and your supplier. So you are anyway overriding that price. Otherwise, if you want it to be automated also, then whatever price will come, it does not matter, right? If you have the BPA defined, system will take that the BPA cost and it will create the purchase order automatically with having that price. So it will override at
Okay,
any point of
okay.
time. You got my point?
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any questions so far? Or we are good to close?
So I'm good.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.